Had to wait until the Google speaker stopped talking before I switched over to everything. Yeah. No overtime tonight. Cool. Not out of the woods, though. I don't know if whether or not the 9-to-5ers are going to be working New Year's Eve is actually going to ever be formally announced because we've had another COVID issue in the facility. So, one thing at a time, and we've got a discussion tonight about you're a content creator. That means you create stuff. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay, homing in on stream formats and things like that for the two kinds of streaming that I'm going to be doing with this kind of stuff. So, I've talked about hybrid streaming, which is where I stick to a topic. It's like a radio show. Could even disable chat if I really wanted to, so I'm not distracted by it. But at the same time, we could also save it for the end of the show, things along those lines. But we could also make it full screen as well, so it's way off to the side and I don't see it as quickly. So you have hybrid streaming, which is the kind of streaming that would be good for YouTube. So you would want to convert the stream over to a spin-off video, maybe cut out the dull or irrelevant bits and make a video out of it, or replay or something like that out of your stream. But the bottom line is, when you're live does not always matter. It's not all that matters. This isn't Twitch, this is YouTube. This is a platform that has more going for it than just live streaming. So at that same time, the experience when you're live for a hybrid stream doesn't have to matter. Now, at the same time, there's also Hangout streams, which is kind of what yesterday's kind of turned into when we started talking about computers and stuff like that. And I actually pulled the whole stream replay. I think the only thing out of that stream that's really good enough to stay on the channel was the whole situation with me making fun of morning people. I think that the discussion wasn't on point enough, and I think that the computer stuff was completely off topic. So that there's really no point in even leaving the stream on the channel at this point. It's something you have to think about. I have my back and forth arguments with people who believe in secondary channels and things like that. But your YouTube channel represents you, as weird as that may sound. Your YouTube, or as does it may sound, your YouTube channel represents you. So when you have something like a stream that goes bad or something like that, you got to ask yourself, is this what I want representing me on here? And if the answer is no, then you just move on and try again. Because remember, it's not just about living in the moment when you're talking about YouTube, it's about the long haul. There are some, I think, radio style commentaries from a year or two ago that I'm actually going to delete because the entire discussion was basically responding to and cleaning the clock, so to speak, of a troll who gave me trouble in the comments at one point. That's not what I want on this channel. Nobody's going to care about some little internet squabble from 2 years ago. They probably didn't care about it then either. Maybe they liked some of my points back then, but it's just not worth it. So I absolutely will be getting rid of a couple of mostly radio style commentaries and stuff like that. So we'll do something along those lines later. So that way things stay focused and topical about multimedia stuff, which is what this channel has been about for just shy of 15 years. Cold ones at the ready. I don't know why I'm having any trouble speaking. I didn't have any sugar tonight, so I don't know. Either way. So let's talk about the COVID situation with the 9-to-5ers. So we had a guy came in, he was iffy with the masks. I called that out several times. Iffy with the work ethic, just getting stuff done just enough to, stay employed. And he's gone. He's gone tonight because had to quarantine. So you mean to tell me that the person who is iffy with the masks and iffy with everything else is quarantining now? Really? What's next? Giving me a lecture on 2 + 2? When are some of these folks going to realize that the way people act reflects on them? So little mannerisms, behaviors, personalities, traits, whether or not they're cluster B or whatever, whether or not they can even listen to others, or do they get defensive when you tell them anything? That reflects on people and affects the team and by extension, the business. Here's how it works and why this is such a problem. Close contact, according to the CDC, is when you're less than 6 feet from somebody for at least 15 minutes. So there's enough time between the shift startups and, flex and stretch, stuff like that. If someone was too close, that adds up to 15 minutes. And now by mere virtue of them standing too close to somebody else, they have to go home and quarantine as well. And so no work, chase unemployment if you can. Who knows how backed up the bureaucracy is. This is exactly the situation that I've been talking about and looking like a total tinfoil head over. And while we're at it, while we're on this subject, Christmas. We had an incident after Thanksgiving, and now here we are, an incident after Christmas. Why don't I just call it right now? There's going to be an incident after New Year's while we're at it. So the question is, how many people do we lose because they were too close to somebody else? They may not even have this thing. How many people do we lose? And how much Mr. Band-Aid stuff am I going to have to do? As the guy who took this stuff seriously, stayed 6 feet away, looked like a paranoid guy, like, stay away, staying way off in the corner, risking not even being able to hear what the supervisor's talking about, because I'd rather have him tell me again later instead of risk getting sent home for 2 weeks because I was too close to somebody at some meeting and they test positive. And contagion begins 2 days before symptoms. So if the guy had symptoms today, that means anybody who stood too close to him Sunday or Monday night, boom, quarantine. So we'll see if there's a positive test result and whether or not I'm going to be Mr. Bailout guy, Mr. Band-Aid guy, right in time for the new year, which, hey, I guess the big thing I got to remember with this is for the folks in charge to realize who their valuable people are. Because like I've been saying all along, there's a direct correlation between iffiness with the masks and job performance. All of our best people have zero mask issues. Now, wouldn't that suck if one of those people who had to quarantine had zero mask issues, but they were too close to somebody for too long and therefore classed as a close contact? So it might get dicey, and I don't know if we're even going to have New Year's Eve off. Hopefully we do. My prediction is that we do, but it will never be officially announced in case the team gets splintered tomorrow because we got to send a bunch of folks home. So we'll see what happens. It's one of those precautionary things where if you work for an ethical employer, I know there's unethical employers who don't care about this stuff, but if you work for a good employer who's ethical about things, that's the system that you have to keep in mind. You have to keep in mind that you could very well not get this thing, but you're going to end up treated because you're going to end up treated as if you did and have to quarantine because you might have gotten it. And that is exactly the situation I've been trying to avoid. I have looked like a tinfoil head in the process, but it's the right thing to do. Now let's talk about content creation and some of what's going on, and let's fire up some music, because I've got me some splaining to do. Oh, cool, COVIDiot is trending again on Twitter. Whatever. I think we've talked about that enough as it is. Slink X-ray vision. Let's get the levels right, see what we got going on here. So, content creators don't have to accept mean behavior from viewers, commenters, or other critics. It's commenters with an E, not commenters with an O, madam. If someone is cruel to you, you don't have to be above it or ignore it. It's okay to stand up for yourself. I respond, and this attitude will sink your channel. The numbers speak for themselves. The majority of people watching you are just there watching. If you stand up for yourself by chasing after the one jackass in the crowd, you're blowing off most of your audience to do so. It's simple math and it's simple numbers. If you've ever looked at the numbers related to a YouTube video, just go to any YouTube video. What do you see over and over and over? I'm just going to click a random one. So let me mute this tab so that nothing plays. I'm on YouTube right now in my Firefox browser. I'm just going to pick something. Fire of Learning's Full History of Australia. Pause. And scroll. 375,000 views. And 354. 375 grand in views. 7,400 likes. 277 dislikes. 1,254 comments. 6-digit views, way less everything else. Oh, well, people aren't engaging. They're not responding. They're just watching. Yeah, it's YouTube. And let's click another one. Let's go to Oversimplified's video on prohibition. Mute, huge ad for honey. 6 million views and change, 346,000 likes, 4,600 dislikes, 35,000 comments. Let's click another related video. Kings and Generals, How Rome Conquered Greece, the Roman History documentary. 1.8 million views, 48,000 likes, 930 dislikes, 3,766 comments. Are you seeing a pattern here? Let's see here. Let's try something topically very, very different. But I'm getting a lot of history videos because I've been watching a lot of history videos. So can I get away from the history videos? I'm going to have to use the search box. I'm getting all documentaries and education videos. And alternate history videos. I gotta go to my front page again. Let's pick another video here. What if we collapse like Rome? How about something music related? Let's see here. Oh yeah, Joe Biden. Stream 10. Oh, no. Let's not bother with Joe Biden. Skip the political stuff. Mangshi Crunchy Nut Candy. She does cooking videos of Korean food. 30,000 views, 3,100 likes, 23 dislikes, and 240 comments. So you see again and again and again and again and again, the bulk of your audience over and over and over again just watches. This is why it's not a good idea to make fun of lurkers in stream chats. Because whoop-de-doo, you don't know the story of the people tuning in. You don't know the story of the people who like your content. You don't even know if they actually like you or not. Because your audience doesn't necessarily have to be all fans. It could be people that are just drunk after a party one night. They're sitting home waiting to sober up, and they're just laughing at random stuff on the internet for no reason. And like, I'm going to mess with this guy. I'm going to type a drunk comment. And then they like fat finger half the buttons. You don't know the stories of the people that are tuning in. It's part of what the whole parasocial relationships thing is. You know, you don't know. You just don't, you know? And it's stupid to try and speak for others. And it's stupid to try and think that you know unless you know for certain. So in the case of me knowing that there's malicious stuff involving my tech videos, that's based on evidence. That's based on watching numbers, ad blocker ratios, comment sections, the way people behave. It is something that is built up over time. It is not some fly-by-night, one-off thing. So anyways, the tweet was about how you can stand up for yourself. Here's the problem. And this is the central point of the discussion. We're going to see how this applies in lots of different ways here. If you're a content creator, you create content. Now, if something messes with that content that you're creating, like holding a grudge, and that erodes your entertainment value or your production value or your show flow or just your general attitude on your social medias, that erodes away what you are as a content creator. It's unfair. How dare we just make, let trolls look like they've won sometimes? Because it's not the better thing to do. You look at YouTube, you look at some incredibly successful creators. Like, I've mentioned several times James the AVGN in recent discussions, and there's a very specific reason for that. Cinemassacre YouTube. Let's look at some of his more recent videos here. See, yep. James, Nintendo Nerd? No, I think this might be a separate channel. Or maybe there's two different links or something like that. What does he have for views? 3.4 million subs. 79,357, 510K. It depends on whether people like him, James, whether people like the nerd, or whether people like what he's talking about. So this is part of the stuff I was talking about in the discussion, that Twitch has this rotten reputation for emphasizing personality stuff too much. But if we once again go back to the offline world before all this internet stuff sprung up, you look at the differences between radio and TV. Radio had a strong focus on personalities as well. You have radio personalities. You have your morning show with so-so and so and so and so. You have talk shows. You have folks like Rush Limbaugh. You have folks like, what's some other guys? What some other folks do radio shows? Been a while since I listened to a lot of them. I listen to a lot of Southern New England ones, though, being it's Connecticut and all. So, I'm familiar with Jay Severin. I'm familiar with Matt Allen. I'm familiar with Dan York. I'm familiar with John DePietro. Well, some other, I just don't listen to a lot of shows. So, used to listen to Mark Levine. Used to listen to Mark Levin and Michael Savage, too, when I was listening to more conservative stuff. And Red Eye Radio, which broadcasted around this time, used to listen to that as well. But at the center of all of these shows is some kind of personality, radio personality. So it really was about the person talking into the microphone. Michael Medved's another name I can remember. You know, a lot of conservatives in talk radio because there's a lot of liberals in TV. Somebody had to do something with the right wing in this country when it comes to media. So TV having a boatload of liberals and Hollywood having a boatload of liberals, here come the conservatives taking over the radio. So right-wing talk radio, of course, especially here in the Northeast, radio stations will have a lot of right-wing hosts because there's a lot of liberals here, so it's a great way to stir the pot and get people listening. I mean, if you've got people that are listening to the radio and they're yelling at the radio, no, that's wrong, they're technically still listening, but maybe they'll hear some commercials and go buy something, which is exactly how that all works with this type of thing. So, but that's the whole thing with all of this emphasis on personalities, is that Twitch is kind of picking up where radio left off, where it's about the personality, not necessarily something else. Like, for example, you have like a TV show like Friends. There's a lot of personalities in that show, but none of the cast members, except maybe Jennifer Aniston and stuff like that. You know, there might be a couple of cast members that people are big fans of, but you get a good TV show with a lot of cool characters in it. The talent kind of shares the spotlight. It's not about any one person. It's about what happens when they're together. You want to see an example of this going on Twitch right now? S-Fan Ginny. They both have their niches as streamers, but there's something special about them being together on screen, not unlike with two radio hosts who bring a different dynamic to a radio show aside from any one person just being there. Been going on in radio for a very long time. There's just something about bringing a second person into a conversation, into microphones like this, that makes people want to listen. It makes things entertaining, makes things interesting with the banter back and forth. Even other duos, like when Fox News used to do Hannity and Combs back in the day. You know, just even people who disagree with each other can make things interesting. But that's the thing. It's not just about personality stuff. I mentioned earlier that this whole situation, that there are streams out there that are completely not based on personalities. Like, for example, I went and looked up, what does it have right now for concurrence? There's a wildlife cam that I was looking at with 1,000 concurrence, 1,100 concurrence actually, and it was, which one was it? Birds? I think it was the birds at Cornell. Live birds in 4K. It's probably doing highlights right now because it's off hours. Let me just fire it up. Oh no, they have night vision on the bird feeder. Who's watching? 179 concurrence. During the daytime when there's birds, this Cornell bird feeder can crack 4-digit concurrence, which is the YouTube equivalent of a large Twitch streamer. Twitch, again, smaller platform than YouTube, smaller numbers overall. So if someone cracks a certain threshold on Twitch, it means a lot more than it does on YouTube, simply due to the differences in the sizes of the platforms. But I posted this about 12 hours ago. Stream with about 1,000 concurrence at the time, size of big streamer on Twitch, and it was just birds at a bird feeder. No drama, no streamer crying about trolls, talking crap in chat, just birds, keeping it family friendly. Twitch streamers take notice. The point of that is that there's a whole wide world beyond anything that's based on personality stuff. So you're a content creator, you create stuff. The problem with getting aggressive towards trolls and like calling people out and stuff a lot is you're going to start attracting a more toxic audience. I mean, if you're the kind of person who's always flipping out, there's going to be certain people out there, certain kinds of people out there, they're going to want to watch somebody who's always flipping out. And you have to ask yourself, do you want your audience consisting of people that are like that? Who do you want your audience consisting of? Who do you want to attract? Who do you want to repulse? You can design your content so that people are bored away, or they think you suck, or they think you're stupid, or they think you're a loser, you're never going to amount to anything, and they just blow you off because of that. That's what it's all about. Who do you want to attract? Who do you want to repulse? Who do you want in the audience? Same thing with videos. When you upload YouTube videos, who do you want watching them? What kind of people? Change things up a bit if you want to change the demographics. So then wait for the algorithms to catch up, however long that takes these days. Let's take a look at some of this. We took a look at some of the numbers earlier, specifically to highlight that the majority of people on YouTube video after YouTube video after YouTube video are just watching. You don't know their stories. And quite frankly, many of the people who speak up about stuff on the internet or type in chat or leave comments on YouTube videos are a vocal minority. So they do not represent large swaths of the audience that may just want someone to watch. They may even support you, but they don't want to get caught up in your drama. And the one thing that's not being brought up, again, with these commentators, another thing that's not being brought up with these commentators is technology. These platforms are developing algorithms to introduce you, creator, to your replacements in case something happens to you. People that are stylistically similar are going to be clumped together. So let's recap how this has worked on YouTube. I started out with Harris Heller and Devin Nash. Knew about those two commentators, but Harris Heller was first. Then I stumbled upon Devin Nash on Twitch. Found out about the YouTube channels, Alpha Gaming, Devin Nash, now he has the archive for VODs, things like that. Because when I watched enough Harris Heller and Devin Nash videos, YouTube's algorithms introduced me to Ashney Christ. When I watched still more of these videos about the multimedia meta, someone in some kind of environment not unlike this one talking about stuff related to content creation, I was introduced to Quirky Pixel, watched even more stuff, Big E. And I'm sure there's other people. I could go to YouTube right now. Let me go look at my YouTube front page, see if the algorithms are trying to introduce me to more creators that are talking about this multimedia meta stuff. Load up. There's the Cornell bird feeder again. Something about Frederick the Great, because I've been studying a lot of Prussian history and what happens when countries get too aggressive and a little too militaristic. Also a bit of a history nerd from time to time. Not very technical, though, so I don't talk about it too much. Let's see here. By the way, no, that's Slink. I've also added the music of Diamond Ortiz to the playlist. Coming over from the YouTube audio library. This is by Slink, though. Let's see here. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Anybody talking the meta, or have I not been watching enough videos lately? I'm getting all history stuff. I guess I've been watching too much of that. Harris Heller, okay. Been trying to get me to watch his latest video about GoXLR for a couple of days now. Dear Electric Cars, that's Marcus Brownlee, that's Tech. Cornell Birds, da-da-da. Infographics, Voices of the Past. Biographics, one of those Simon Whistler shows. Markiplier. Let's see, Dungeons and Dragons, but that's 2 years old. Let's see, Quirky Pixel, stream highlights for December. So there you go. That's one meta video. Guess not today. Maybe if I watch a bunch of those videos, then YouTube will start doing that again. Now that's the thing. YouTube and any of these folks programming AI and machine learning and stuff like that, they're going to want to set up something, because what's important to the platforms is not your individual success as much as it is people just watching. So if something happens to you, there needs to be a reason for your audience to stay on the platform. And so that's what a lot of this stuff is going for. There's been some let me go to Twitch actually. There's been some rather creepy things I've been seeing on Twitch lately with regards to the algorithms. Let me just mute the, no, the site's already muted. Let me go to my front page. So recently, okay, I'm Tiffany's getting recommended to me. See, Yugi's doing something. Let me look at categories with, people may think, people that the system thinks you may like. Okay, I am being recommended people with similar looking LED lights in their rooms. What kind of algorithms is Twitch playing with these days? I know they're not as refined as YouTube's, but they're something. So, yeah, there's been some rather bizarre... Omega lol. Yeah, there's been some rather bizarre situations lately. So, here's an example. There is somebody that there's a KIRL streamer, Korean IRL streamer, that Twitch's algorithms introduced me to a couple of days ago, who has a voice that sounds very similar to Yugi. So I've watched enough of Yugi's streams that this other streamer is getting recommended to me because her voice is similar and her looks are similar. That's weird, but it's technology. Also, there was a collab between Yugi and Haley on the KIRL thing where they were having some party. I didn't watch much of it. It's la stuff that I wasn't really into. But she was over Haley's place. Then somebody else was over Haley's place. And now Twitch is recommending that other streamer to me because there's graphical similarities because it takes place in the same apartment somewhere in South Korea. That's the kind of weird stuff that this technology is doing. So, whether it's concurrence on a stream or views on a YouTube video, you have an audience that is being funneled to you by the technology. Maybe a small trickle of new viewers potentially. But keep in mind, if you are getting wrapped up in drama and calling people out, especially on stream, if you're doing a lot of that, you have the algorithm pass along people to you. Their first impression of you is you just flipping out about somebody. Maybe, oh yeah, you're horrible, I'm banning you. You're perma-banned. Booyah, get out of my chat. Yep. And that is what you look like, first impressions wise, to some rando who could have been a fan of you that the algorithms passed your way when that happened. Little do you know. And that's the thing. It's not that many of these channels that I've seen get too wrapped up in drama undercut themselves and destroyed themselves. What you will see if you watch some of these channels who go down this path is their growth stagnates. You can start saying that their videos are always going to get the same amount of views and be correct, even if it's been 6 months since you watched their last video. Why? Because they're defeating the purpose of the technology, because they're ruining their first impressions of others by having too much of this stuff either live or after the fact. Let me go to a channel of somebody who I do not watch and see if they're still getting 50 to 75,000 views per video. Not going to spoil it. It is somebody who, if I'm not proven wrong right now, then this is somebody who has been stagnant for years. Mute tab, please. Boom. 50,000 views a video. If it's a very high drama topic, it'll clear 6 digits. Otherwise, in a recent amount of time, 50,000 views. Bingo. Subs have gone up, views have not. And I'm not surprised. Number one, there's attrition over the years. There's people coming and going. Number two, if you have too much stuff that makes you look bad, that's your first impression to certain people out there. That's your final impression. So you undercut yourself. Yeah, you'll feel good because you'll get back at somebody who wronged you, but you'll undercut yourself in the long run. That has been called winning the battle but losing the war for a very long time. Check out some other stuff in this tweet discussion. There is a guy, interestingly enough, an FPS streamer, this Running Man guy. He has a decent amount of concurrence and views on YouTube, but he's primarily Twitch because he talks about having graduated from YouTube to Twitch, which is something I do not agree with. I understand the allure of being a streamer, but a lot of that had to do with monetization. You get channel memberships and other stuff going on YouTube, and then get the feedback loop going between videos and streams. And you won't need a second site to have something like this going on. You'll want to be involved on Twitch just to have a presence somewhere else. So if something happens to your YouTube involvement, you're not stuck starting over from scratch somewhere. Might be the best thing for me to do as an affiliate besides game streaming. But let's see here. Guy had a huge argument with me. I'm very surprised he didn't just instantly dismiss me. Look at his video, look at my channel on YouTube and be like, oh, look, 20 views a video. Oh, he had maybe he would have seen the dryer video at heading towards 200,000 views. By the way, the wild card with my channel is that I have not, in my 15 years of YouTube, actually tried to grow it. It was simple, really. The idea was pretty simple. People like stuff or they won't. They'll watch or they won't. Simple. but I didn't want to resort to gimmicks or begging people to subscribe or having a lot of the calls to action and stuff that bothers the living daylights out of people every single video, because if people like stuff, they'll watch it. Strange idea, isn't it? So any growth I've had at all, the couple thousand subs, the videos that have crossed into 4, 5, 6 digit view territory, that is without me actually trying to do anything. That's recreational, having fun on YouTube for years that has done that. No gimmicks, no weird stuff behind the scenes, none of these growth strategies, just making stuff and people like it. Nice and simple. What I find interesting about this guy arguing with me, though, is that he first started making YouTube videos in 2014. So I smoked the living daylights out of him in terms of YouTube experience. I'm bringing up examples from before he was involved in any of this stuff, like the AVGN fiasco in the late 2000s. But let's take a look at some of the other things people are saying here and just take another look at this. So keep in mind, if you're a content creator, you create content. Anything that erodes that makes your content worse, makes your attitude worse, which bleeds into your content, anything else erodes away part of what you are, makes you worse. Game over. Trolls win. Like we mentioned not too long ago, trolls do not have to deplatform you in order to win. All they have to do is damage you to the point where you don't realize that you need to recover from something and you never do. Audience just wants to watch something. I use my words specifically on purpose, so audience means anybody watching, not necessarily your fan base. And I differentiate between audience and fan base instead of saying community all the time. Now let's get past the discussion here. A lot of people with bad intentions aren't necessarily trolls. See, I realized not standing up for myself meant I was allowing people to walk all over me. We don't stand for that kind of disrespect. Oh, really? It's the internet. You don't know the stories, and many times if you check the backgrounds of the people that are bothering you, you find out they have no credibility. All the way back to 2006 on YouTube. One of the things that the OG vloggers used to talk about is, look at all these haters leaving nasty comments on my videos, and they don't even make any videos. Basically saying, you know, these people are not putting in the effort, they're not putting in the work. They don't want to acknowledge that even bad videos take effort to make because of editing. Now, maybe streaming with just a go live button is a different meta in that respect, but time and again, there have been situations where somebody gives me a hard time, so I say, oh, let's see if they have any credibility. They don't. One of the wildest examples and the worst examples, guy blew up in my face about one of my YouTube videos. Banned him like that, yes, but not without checking out his YouTube channel. He had a single video. He had one single video of him with a 2000s flip phone cam or something like that. It was pointed at him, really low frame rate, low resolution, low shutter speed, horrible looking 2000s webcam type look. And literally all he did was stand there and say, video, 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 video. I don't know if that was supposed to be some kind of antagonistic swipe at, oh, trolls never make videos. So where he's just standing there pointing the camera randomly saying, video, video, video. But it's the dumbest thing I've seen from somebody who is blowing up in my face about my channel. All time. It just goes to show what's out there. So let's see here. I thought ignoring it would make them stop. Well, yeah, you can take control of a narrative, but like we mentioned with the Alinity situation, sometimes being yourself is all you can do, because you gotta ask yourself again, demographics, who do you want watching? Do you want level-headed people who think about what it is that they're doing watching, or do you want people that just blow up at the dumbest little thing? So what does that do to your demographics if you have somebody who's like making hate videos about you or something like that? It basically means that the people that just knee-jerk go by what everybody else is saying are just going to go along with it, and they're going to out themselves. But people that actually think about what it is that they're saying, doing, etc., they're going to want to know for themselves, not based on secondhand information about you. So they're probably going to watch your stuff, they're going to see that you do what you do, and the picture being painted of you by the troll or whatever is not what you actually are. And so you gain fans because your trolls are basically they're basically working for free because people make up their own minds who they're going to support, who they're going to watch, etc. And if there are sheep folks out there, if there are sheepish folks out there just go along with what everyone else says, do you really want them in your audience? That's the thing. And it would just destroy their credibility anyways. You don't deserve to be treated like garbage. Don't have to be rude, but have some courage. What's this? I think there's a healthy balance between standing up for yourself and focusing on your own stuff. Many of the biggest creators on YouTube over the years have not bothered with drama, even when they could have benefited from it. I mentioned the angry video game nerd and some of the arguments I've been involved with. So, at the time of the AVGN thing, you had AVGN and you had all those other reviewers that were inspired by him. Many of them got caught up in drama regarding the irate gamer or something else that was going on at the time. They got more and more wound up, it ate into their videos, and destroyed them eventually. Many of them don't even make videos anymore. Or they don't do anything like that anymore. While the nerd just keeps plugging along, who has been very well known for staying out of drama. Even though he plays a satirical character, even though the nerd plays a satirical, even though James plays a satirical character who gets mad at stuff, that's a work of genius. Who's this? This is Diamond Ortiz. No, this is Slink still. I got Diamond Ortiz at the bottom of the playlist. This is on random. Maybe it'll get to it. Give me two. Let me just compare numbers here. Let me compare AVGN, Cinemassacre. What kind of numbers does AVGN have on his nerd episodes? Go to the playlist. AVGN. Nearly 1 million views on everything he's done. Bartman or over. Cracking the 1 million view mark. Legend of Kage, Countdown Vampires, Echo the Dolphin, Mission Impossible on N64, Taito Legends, PS2, Simpsons, Bartman vs. Radioactive Man, the newest one, 927 grand. Now let's compare him to somebody who may be compared to him, because he's also an angry reviewer and very popular. Let's see. Mute. The Angry Joe Show. When was the last time he actually did something like this? Now, I'm not seeing stuff that's regularly in the millions. Cyberpunk 2077, riding the wave of people's disappointment with the launch of that game, has 1.5 million views. But I'm seeing K's instead of M's for this guy. Now, what's the difference between the two? I do not follow Angry Joe, I do follow AVGN. AVGN stays focused on content. What I ran into with Angry Joe is Twitter went in a different direction, something else went in a different direction. I got sick of the politics, I got sick of the baggage, and I got sick of the arguments that he was getting into, and I got sick of the drama. One of the best things you can do as a content creator is put yourself in the shoes of the audience. If you are a good, hard-working person, and you come home from work, you put up with a bunch of nonsense all day long, you want to watch some YouTube videos or some Twitch streams before calling it a night. Do you want to see someone else's drama? No. Do you want to watch someone else who's persistently getting derailed by drama that they're a little too close to? Do you want that? No, of course not. You want to stay focused on the people that are actually staying focused. Angry Joe. Don't follow him on Twitter anymore either. What kind of stuff's he talking about these days? Alright, he bought Street Fighter, Maybe he oh, no, there we go. Boom, left-wing politics. There you go. He's right about, the stimulus differences between the US and other stuff here, but sharing strong opinions passionately with emotion will always rub a minority of people the wrong way. Don't let it prevent you from sharing your ideas with others the way you are most comfortable. Not everyone needs to conform to a style that doesn't offend or challenge. Look, I really don't care what politics he's into. I don't subscribe to him for politics. He should start a politics channel and become a personality talking about politics and grow that way. At least he'll be honest. Instead of developing as angry game reviewer and now suddenly he's trying to throw in his opinion on everything. Even with what I do, multimedia, that's a very large umbrella in terms of stuff I could be talking about. PC hardware, gaming, This stuff, the multimedia meta, could be talking about a lot of different things. You don't see me turning into CNN. I might have an opinion here and there on some things related specifically to the pandemic. But this guy, I just got sick of the political stuff. No, I got sick of and all the arguments he was getting into. That's not content. That's eating into content. He should just totally, he should become an opinion personality. Then he'd be a little more honest instead of, gaming, gaming guy, angry gamer. Now he's going to be mad at other stuff. So now you could say that that's branding and stuff. Oh, it's his brand. It's this, it's that. It's just who he is, Myself and other people that are sick of corporate stuff by the time we get home from dealing with corporation stuff all day, we don't want to see more corporate stuff from people going on about my brand. No, we just want to see people that are worth watching. We just want to watch something, And if you have somebody who's getting too wrapped up in someone was mean to them, that versus somebody who doesn't get wrapped up in it, who do you think gets the views? Let me just open up a bunch of Sully gnomes. Let's do a KIRL showdown between concurrents. Let's do some KIRLs between some of the most popular people on here. We'll do 90 days. Let me just open a bunch of Sully gnomes here. Who has the most to show? Where's the correlation between this friend group of people? Let's see. Who else can we add to that? Oh, let's add some. Ta-da! We'll even throw in some people I don't watch. Okay. So, I don't know if the language barrier is part of this. I don't know if the language barrier is part of this to where people don't get wrapped up in stuff because they literally don't understand some of the insults. But you compare the cultural difference between people that do take a lot of swings and stand up for themselves as streamers here in America versus people from overseas. It really gets interesting when you start noticing who stays more focused on things. All right, let's do a KIRL Sully Gnome sweep here. So Ginny with S-Fan right now, having a blast, and there's something about those two together that's really something nice. 67.27 over the last 90 days on average. Friend Yugi, 10.38, lot of red ink, redid a bunch of stuff, had to move, all kinds of other stuff like that. But she has a bit more of an issue with caring too much about what other people think. It's great when that's empathy, not so great when you're getting upset about stuff and your audience is worried about you because of how much stuff you're getting upset about. Hachibi, 22.95, more focused on things, working on that Hachu Mart store, which I heard her talking about. So don't catch a lot of her streams because she streams at different times and smaller stream times, of course. Let's talk Barry, 1900, stays focused. I don't watch any of what she does, but it's that's higher than what it was before. And then Auntie, who got partnered recently into the 500s on average, getting, cracking 1,000 more and more frequently. Let's put a trend line on here by going to 180 days. So what I find with these patterns, with these KIRLs, is that the more focused they are, the better off they're doing. Of course, here's a kind of a negative thing as well, because, Korea's gone into lockdown on some things like that. And she had to figure out the affiliate thing as well, when she kept getting not partnered on Twitch. That was probably a source of issues in terms of being upset about it too much. But let me look at some of these other folks. This is Patrick Patrikios, right? Hey, how'd I guess? It's the style and everything. Barry is positive over 180 days. Hachu, how's she doing over 180 days? Trendline? Negative. Wonder how much time the Hachu Mart thing's taking up. Let's see. I know Yugi's negative. You have to go to year over year for it to get good. Ginny, 180 days. Positive. A lot of it is because of the S-Fan thing happening again at the very end of it. But still, the EU thing was pretty cool and whatnot. But here's the thing. She's out and about, traveling the world, making content. She's staying focused. There are people that she's gotten upset at her audience before, broke down in tears in front of her audience before, has people that troll her, has people that give her a hard time, has a few nasty things that show up in her Discord, but keeps on making stuff, making stuff, making stuff, making stuff, making stuff, in very, very sharp contrast to some of the channels I've seen self-destruct on YouTube because they stopped being focused on what they were actually about because they were constantly putting out fires, so to speak. So, numbers after numbers after numbers, looking at some of the biggest YouTubers I've known over the years who have persistently done well, you'll notice the trend is less drama. And even something like, Classic Game Room, chugged along for years, did well, had an audience that liked it. Mark got a little antagonistic about some stuff. People got upset about it. So, that's another story for another day. Let's see. Lots of The Emperor's New Nikes. I still don't get that song. Yeah, because you run into contrarianism, that's the issue. And that's where it gets away from all this. Well, it's been interesting. It's been interesting to stir the pot, and it helps the engagement on her tweet. It helps the engagement on her tweet. But we'll see what becomes of this. Especially when I get more involved in some meta discussions directly instead of through streams like this. But there you go. Yeah, I'll look at some more numbers for some more people to get some more examples of this. You know what I found interesting recently is that YouTube is turning into an older people platform, and Twitch is younger people. Of course, the demographics match. Twitch, half its audience is 18 to 34, 20% is teenagers. You go over to YouTube, and some of the big personalities have some semblance of gray hair these days. Even the people that talk about the meta. But YouTube can be all kinds of stuff, not just personality stuff. That's the key difference. Either way, I hope I've made this point clear enough, despite it being a stream, so it's not as focused. You have to think about it. What does your audience want? Do they want somebody who's upset all the time, or do they want to just have good stuff that they persistently enjoy for years? I think the answer to that should be pretty obvious here. At the same time, I eagerly await the quarterly results so we can see how YouTube and Facebook have done versus Twitch this past quarter. I want to see what happens to these numbers with regards to this whole situation with the harassment policy as well as DMCA-mageddon. We'll probably start seeing whatever effect that's going to have with the upcoming Q4 numbers. That'll be interesting. Because I think really one of the big reasons why I'm keeping an eye on this showdown between these companies is because what's at stake here is the way streaming is treated. You have Twitch, which can coast for a little while longer, off of the strength of personality streaming and streaming being everything, versus the twin titans of YouTube and Facebook, where streaming is treated more as an extension to what it is that you do. This has probably been the biggest lesson of the year that I've had to learn as I've gotten into this stuff, is the scope of streaming, and to view successful full-time streamers as anomalies. In the grand scheme of things, though, I don't expect them to be the most successful creators of all time, because streaming is inherently limited. People who focus primarily on streaming are also going to be limited. That will add up to something over the long haul. I call it the stream life crisis. Much like the whole midlife crisis thing, where suddenly someone's, I'm getting old, or something like that. I think at some point you're going to start seeing some of these big streamers have a stream life crisis where they get antagonistic, upset, sometimes downright snippety, and very, very angry. Because it starts to dawn on them the hours they've put into streaming for stuff that's largely perishable, quality limited, etc., versus hours that could have been put into making YouTube videos that are more evergreen Okay, yeah. Is streaming going to turn into the quick buck where people just want to make the quick money through donos and subs and stuff, as opposed to mixing it up more with evergreen stuff that can stand the test of time? Let's mention AVGN once again. Actually, let me go to James Nintendo Nerd's channel, aka the original name of AVGN. That bounces me straight to Cinemassacre, right? Oh, hey, what do you know? It's the old link. Videos, oldest to newest. Let's see. Uploads, sort by date added oldest. 14 years ago. Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. 11 million views. All M's on James's channel. Now, could you watch some of these old nerd episodes and still be entertained by them? Of course. They have new thumbnails, to match, basically thumbnails these days, decent ones, being DVD box art, so to speak. And they have a pattern and style to them that maybe the algorithms are friendly with. But you could watch, like, his Who Framed Roger Rabbit review from 14 years ago. Nearly 15-year-old YouTube videos and still be entertained by them. Yeah, it's early nerd stuff. You can see how he's evolved since then. And they're not high definition. They're going to be 4:3 and stuff. But imagine if you spend 10 years making stuff like these videos that can still be enjoyed today versus years making streams and VODs. That's what I think is coming for these streamers. And that's one of the reasons why I say that one of these days, being a streamer is not going to be considered a good thing. It's not going to be considered a good decision. Streaming is popular now because it's a bubble waiting to burst. It's one of those situations where YouTube screwed up with demonetization in the adpocalypse. So people went over to Twitch. And streaming ballooned over there. Now YouTube's playing some catch up with that. But of the big three platforms, Twitch is the only one with an exclusive emphasis, almost exclusive emphasis, on live streaming. In both the platform, the technology, and the culture, you have a situation where live is very highly emphasized. On YouTube, those rules do not have to apply, just like how Twitch is the only platform with an emphasis on concurrence. You want to go somewhere where your concurrent viewers matter? Go to Twitch. And this creates, of course, their 2-viewer Andy problem. A stream like this one to 2 concurrents is okay on YouTube, not okay on Twitch. So the 2 people that watch 2-viewer Andys will be contributing watch hours, which contribute to the progress to partner on YouTube. And people watching after the fact will only add to that. But on Twitch, a 2-viewer stream is not enough for Twitch affiliate when you're just getting started. So you essentially you could have a good stream, but not a lot of people watch because nobody knows about you yet. And because you had only 2 viewers, not enough, bad stream. It's like a 30-day soft ban on getting monetized because it drags down your average. Unless you counter it, it is something that has to drop off, like something on a disciplinary record at a job. And I'm still saying I should make a video about this. Get the question out there directly, not through a stream. How many people starting out on Twitch as Twitch streamers, and let's check the link, by the way, from my blog entry. How many people getting into streaming via Twitch? Think of it that way. Probably almost no one. Let's look at the latest Twitch affiliates. Let's see. There's one guy, there's one streamer. Don't know if it's a guy or not. They have a gnome as their icon. Not enough hours, not enough days, but enough concurrence. Let's see here. A lot of people get hung up on the concurrence. The followers are a lot easier. So sobering though. Look at all these people like so close to affiliate. Yeah. I gotta cut up that stream from yesterday to see if I can extract the discussion about how Twitch affiliates overhyped. Yep, there you go. Please come watch me. We're so close to affiliate. Blah, 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 blah. A new round of tweets. Because of this. And then what are they going to get? They have nobody watching them. There's next to no emphasis on after the fact stuff on Twitch. Where are they going to get ad revenue or anything like that you can build up on YouTube? Yeah. It's amazing how much the rules change when all you do is change from a platform emphasizing streaming as much as it does to a platform where streaming is an extension of what your presence is. And the Twitch tubers and whatnot, as I've heard them being called, have a situation where you can tell that their YouTube involvement is secondary and it's just a means to an end. The potential they're leaving on the table. Stream life crisis, ladies and gentlemen. Give it a couple of years, we'll see an environment where people are more sober about their views on streaming as an extension to something you're already doing, as opposed to the centerpiece of everything. Because you're throwing your eggs into the wrong basket if you want to be a streamer. Let's be blunt. You're focusing on a platform that has a lot of weaknesses, a lot of shortcomings, and a lot of baggage that making videos doesn't have. It's just that if you don't know this, it takes a while to figure it out. Unless, of course, you let people like me come along and tell you what's going on with this, so you don't have to figure it out for your own. But for everybody else, there's the good old school of hard knocks. So let's recap. You're a content creator. You make content. The more that gets eroded, sabotaged, undercut, or you let people get under your skin, the more it eats into what you are. And when you start getting an evergreen platform like YouTube involved, especially third-party channels that are sending your Twitch clips around of you flipping out about your audience, that undercuts you to people and it undercuts you to technology, because you're eating into, with that sort of thing, the kind of technology that would otherwise funnel you a new audience on a regular basis. Or maybe it'll start funneling you a new audience that's the wrong kind of people because they want to see you flip out. They're there for the drama. They're not there for what it is you're doing. They don't care about you. Demographics as usual. Let's get back to the YouTube stuff. I got everything a little bit out of whack tonight because I'm working on this LED light strip project, and it's been sitting there for days. It's been sitting there for 2 days now because of this whole situation with the 9-to-5ers. We shall stay tuned on that, though. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.